Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review, so I hope you find this one interesting. This movie is a horror/romance from the USA, English language, released in the year 2014, directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, and this film is called Spring. So Spring is about this young man who's recently lost his mother to an illness a few years before he lost his father, so he doesn't really have any family. The only friend he's got is someone who's always high on drugs or drunk on alcohol, and he has a job at a bar that he actually loses because he ends up assaulting someone inside this bar while he's protecting his friend. So the police are after him because of this assault, and so he feels as though he has nowhere to go. So in order to try and get a new start in his life, he goes overseas to Italy. Now this is where he wants to recollect his thoughts and trying to find out a way in order to move on, and this is where he meets the love of his life, this beautiful young woman who is following him around everywhere, and pretty soon that bond that they have turns into a romantic relationship. And so he thinks that she is the love of his life, but then all of a sudden he realizes that this woman is harboring a terrible secret that is going to put not only their relationship on the line, but also his life. So what that secret is and how it has an impact on what is going on is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Spring. For the longest time I've heard about this film. A lot of people say how good it was, but for reasons that I'm not quite aware, I just never really got the opportunity to see it. I saw the trailer, I thought it looks very interesting, but it didn't really have that X factor to make me want to go and watch it straight away. And so after a while, you know, the DVD was at a ridiculous price. I didn't want to download the film because I believe that the independent cinema needs a lot of support. You know, when it comes to mainstream Hollywood, you know, you've got all the recognition and the attention that those movies have, but the independent stuff doesn't really get the attention that they deserve. And so it does have a lot of hype. I know to be skeptical when it comes to hype, but I thought it looked very interesting. So when I finally got the opportunity to see it at a decent price on a DVD, I gave it a shot last night, and I will say that it's not a masterpiece, but it is a very fascinating and beautiful experience. I thought this movie really does capture the true essence of love. This is not a movie about good-looking women, you know, basically wearing next to nothing. It's not a movie about, you know, sex and trying to sleep with someone for the sake of sleeping with them so you can brag about that. And so there's a lot of superficial quality in a lot of these other romance films that doesn't really get you into the characters. It feels more a case of lust as opposed to the true essence of what romance is. And romance is unconditional love. Romance is loving someone for the person that they are, regardless of what they're going through. And this movie, this is why it's so beautiful, is that you've got this main character who has trouble with his past. He has loved ones who have died. He's in trouble with the law. And you've got this woman who has this secret. And when the secret comes out, the test of love is put to the ultimate test. And so you think to yourself, okay, well, this is not a trip in lust. This is not a guy who's after this woman because she's beautiful to look at. This is a guy who actually loves this woman for who she is as the person inside. And so the emotional impact that the film has really does magnify to a point where you're caring about whether or not they actually pull through with this relationship. I thought the cinematography was absolutely beautiful to look at, and the beauty of the film is matched on the outside is matched by the beauty on the inside, is because the script allows these characters to go in a certain direction where you can relate to them. Is that it's not forcing the melodrama, it's not being lazy, it's not just saying, oh, you know, it's sad, cue the sad music and cue this, cue that you get in so many other lazy romantic films. And this is the reason why I don't like romance movies, is because it's something that you can't connect to, because it feels like it's a case of lust over love. But in this movie, there is attention to the details in these characters. It doesn't go into gratuitous sex scenes, it doesn't go into gratuitous violence, and so I thought the whole film had a strong purpose, and that purpose is to show you the unconditional love, and that is through the romantic quality and also the horror quality. The horror movie aspect of this film isn't necessarily scary, but it plays a strong impact, as I said, in that unconditional love. And that sort of creature feature aspect of the film can symbolize as cancer or any other illness that someone might be going through, whether it's a physical illness, whether it's a mental illness. Basically loving someone for who they are and being prepared to basically go through the fight with them in order to be with them. And because the movie goes into those sort of aspects of the film, you feel as though it's realistic, and therefore you want them to actually pull through in the end. So the script, as I said, was absolutely fantastic. It allowed these characters to blossom through, and because it allows these characters to blossom through, it allows the actors to portray very interesting characters and give a solid performance, which is exactly what they do. I thought the performances were great, very likeable characters, and in the end what it is just a fascinating romance film. I would say it's more of a romance than a horror, but it does have that horror aspect, but I thought the horror aspect has a strong sense of realism, because I thought that the directors were using it as a symbolism of, you know, a predicament or a problem that a certain person has, but in order to actually get that true essence of love, sometimes it's hard work. So the soundtrack was absolutely fantastic as well. You got some horror set pieces that were a little bit bloody, but the movie doesn't rely on that, which is something that I really, really appreciated. So, unfortunately, it's not a masterpiece, and the reason why it's not a masterpiece is because I thought it was a little bit too long. I thought this movie would have been a lot better as an 80-minute film. I thought that the start of the relationship was a little bit forced as well, and so when the relationship keeps going on, I thought, okay, well, I'm really getting into it, but unfortunately at the start I thought it was a little bit too convenient for its own good, and it didn't really give you that time for this relationship to really seep in. I'd never felt like they knew each other terribly well when they actually started falling in love to start with, but as the movie goes along, you sense that there is a genuine care factor between these two people. So I didn't like that aspect as much, and I also didn't like the fact that there were moments that were a little bit monotonous. I thought that as the movie goes on, I thought there could have been a little bit more editing here and there to actually make it go at a more continuous pace, and I thought the ending of the movie, although it was a beautiful way to finish, I thought, okay, well, I would have liked it to go in a different direction. It would have given the movie a little bit more sense of tragedy, and I'm not going to give anything away, but I just thought it could have been a little bit different to actually hit home what that true sense of love is, and as I said, the unconditional love. And so that's something I didn't like. They're the few problems I had with the movie that do prevent it from being a masterpiece, but overall, it's still a very, very good romantic horror film. If you are into this sort of thing, and you want to see a movie that is very different, beautifully made, and will actually make you feel something, then Spring is definitely for you. So overall, for this movie, going to give it 4 stars. Go out there and see it. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.